administration fully supports clean energy exemption for India and speedy implementation of US-Indian Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement. And nothing about the new ENR transfer guidelines by NSG should be construed as detracting from the unique impact and importance of the US-India agreement or US commitment to full civil nuclear cooperation. So the US spokesman then disabused others who thought that, well, with the new NSG guidelines, India will again put on the dock. The June statements are really very interesting, and I'm just like taking time to elaborate them. I hope I have 5-10 minutes. Okay. And so, impact on India.
10 minutes.
Okay. Now, on the same statement by the official spokesman in June, they said efforts in NSG to strengthen controls on the transfers of ENR are consistent with long-standing US policy that predates the civil nuclear agreement and have been reaffirmed on an annual basis by the G8 for years. So, on the one hand, they said that they are committed to Indo-US deal. On the other hand, they mentioned this. Then go to the next para. This is very interesting. State official also stated, State Department official also noted that the text of the 2008 NSG exemption exempts India only from the section about energy guidelines on requirement for full scope safeguards, and specifically says that transfers of sensitive exports remain subject to paragraph 6 and 7. So it was again ambiguity, and then they also said in a later paper that those who are entitled for this, for the NSG, for the under the NSG guidelines and revised paragraph 6 and 7 for transfers of ENR, they might be entitled, but they do not have the right. Now this is the distinction that the US made. And that distinction is vital because the suppliers decide to, they have the right to decide whether they will supply or not. So South Korea, for instance, is having a nuclear cooperation agreement with the US, and US has so far refused to give them ENR technology. And in the case of India, the administrative arrangements are being worked out. So my purpose in trying to show these things to you is that these transfers have been relaxed. They have not been blocked, but even to get them, the enabling actions require a lot of work. Now from there we come to membership of the NSG. And there I have quoted to you what the latest presidential statement, which is the highest level thing in the US. But in the NSG meetings, you know, the nuclear supply groups meet every year. They have plenary, there are 45, 46 countries. Most of them are OECD countries or European Union plus OECD countries. And they meet from capital to capital, and they discuss the developments. And in those developments, in 2011, the US very delicately submitted ideas for India's entry into NSG. So there was a confidential food for thought paper which the Americans submitted. That food for thought paper was very interesting because they said that the NSG may consider two options for India. Number one, revise admission criteria, and I quote, in a manner that would accurately describe India's situation. And two, recognize that the criteria known as factors to be considered are not mandatory criteria. So Richard Stafford, who was a long-time US non-proliferation expert, who knows these things like the back of his hand, he was the one who submitted these things. So he made this fine distinction between what could be factors to be considered, but what are not constraints, or what are not mandatory criteria. So US kept the door open and allowed them to think about it. And since then they have not come back. But from last September and now, the US has insisted that they would like to work for India's membership. And President's statement, which I quoted in the first slide, it says that India is now ready for membership of NSG. So I showed you this evolution to show how it has moved. Now, this itself has taken most of my time, but the important thing to know is that there are general subjective criteria and objective criteria. These fellows want to retain the subjective right to supply or not supply to a particular recipient. So there are a lot of subjective criteria which are there in the latest, revision of the NSG guidelines. And I have in my slides given some of the languages. Your students, you should study them, because this is how international diplomacy for export controls or technology controls moves. They are busybodies who work on language and commas and full stops and imply certain change. But like a child, if you've given a small child an automobile which is a toy which moves on its own, and if you see him, as soon as it moves first, he catches it. So that is the attitude of all these guys. Even when they relax, otherwise they fear that they will run off with that. So that thing of push and pull and that kind of thing goes on. Now that applies to MTCR. MTCR was created in 1987, as Dr. Siddharth mentioned, after India's ASLB test. And it was done not by so many countries, it was G7. Russia was not, Soviet Union was not part of it. They first put conditions on MTCR, which actually said all, they have two lists. One is the main list and second is the technology list in MTCR. So you cannot transfer satellite technology, you cannot transfer space technology, you cannot transfer all those equipments which are required for space launching. So much so that even sounding rockets, which India managed to sell in 62, 63, even sounding rockets, they said you cannot supply. And then they have put a range, 300 kilometers range. Below that you can supply, but after that, over 300 kilometers you cannot supply. And the throw weight was 500 kilograms. So it was the first attempt to prevent missile proliferation. However, we know all around our region, missiles were proliferated. The reason being, China was out of these things. And they merrily supplied it to Pakistan, to North Korea, and Russia also supplied to North Korea, and North Korea in turn supplied to the others. So, in spite of MTCR being in force, missile proliferation has taken place. And it's like, salami tactics. You have a 299 kilometer range, and then you can always expand it after a while. So that's supplied. But progressively they have been also tightening the MTCR. The point is, what about India? India, as Dr. Siddharth explained, that from 93 onwards, we started also, unlike China and the others, started behaving like responsible powers. And we began to enforce export controls on technology which we had developed ourselves, which was in our country. So from 93 onwards, we made sure that in progressive steps, these sensitive technologies, material, equipment would not go out of India to other countries. And if we transferred them, we examined them with end use and we screened their applications. And this thing, after 98 tests, got further strengthened in 2000. We have these COMET regulations, which was a big step forward. And in those regulations, we put down very classified, very systematic controls. Now that was the US concern after our test, that look, we can consider getting you now into our fold, but please have export control, because they were very worried that these can go to terrorists or countries which are not subject to international law, like North Korea. They were very worried about Iran. So we accepted those export controls, and its culmination was in 2005 when we passed the Export Control Act, the WMB Act in the Parliament, which not only banned these things or regulated them, but also prescribed punishment for anyone found violating them. And this was all in conformity with these guidelines of Nuclear Suppliers Group, MTCR, and the two other groups which had come into being by then. The Wassenaar group, which was actually about conventional weapons, and there are 8 categories of them. About them they have put a controls. And these controls actually were inherited from the Cold War, when the Americans and the Western side decided to enforce controls on the East Bloc, the Soviet Union and its allies, and it used to be called COCOM. That was the very strict controls that the NATO countries and their allies in the OECD would not transfer technology to Soviet Union or its allies. After the Soviet collapse in 91, in 96, these chaps issued fresh guidelines which are called Wassenaar. It's at a place in the Netherlands near The Hague, and it's become now very well known. And then the last was the Australia Group. Australia Group came into being in 1985. In 1984, Iraq under Saddam Hussein used chemical weapons against Iranians. Poor Iranians went to 1984 General Assembly to have a resolution passed condemning Iraq for doing this under the 1925 protocol of the chemical weapons. At that time, since global community dislike Iran, not a single tear was shed against the Iranian soldiers who were subjected to mustard and nerve gases. So Iran's resolution was procedurally ruled out of the General Assembly. But in 1985, Australia set up a group which started control of chemicals and biological agents so that others do not acquire chemical weapons or biological weapons. Of course, the Chemical Weapons Convention came into being in 93 after that. But so this was another group which has been now. So these four groups are there. Time is too short to give you details, but I'll answer questions if you have. India is now entitled to members of all of these, to be a member of all these. But as Obama's statement indicates, I think there is a hierarchy. First NSG, then MTCR, then the other two. So I think we are a responsible power. We have shown this through our actions. And at the same time, we've shown our capability that we are in possession of technologies which, if we like to misuse, we can do like their great friend China. But we won't do this. So I'll end with this. It is still half complete because the subject is very vast, and if I were to talk in sketchy terms, it wouldn't make a sense. So NSG, I've given a lot of material to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure we will save time for speakers to come back. Ambassador Sharma spoke about 4